Welcome to another very special episode of E&Ftv's Bridging the Gap. And today I'm joined by Judith from CareTrade UK. Judith, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing, Jason?
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, thank you. So, lovely to get you back on the show. It's a special edition because we're talking about your up and coming neurodiversity in the workplace conference.
Yep, that's right. We've got it coming up on the 8th of July. It's going to be in London at the Sunborn Hotel, which is a floating yacht hotel at the Royal Victoria Dock near Excel. So it's a super exciting venue. And the focus is on hospitality and facilities management.
Brilliant. So, for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about CareTrade, formerly Employment Autism, I believe.
So CareTrade has been going for 15 years, as you can see by our logo.
Yeah.
It was started 15 years ago as a very small project and now has grown. We have a lot more that we offer now. We have our flagship Autism project, which is our 3-year supported internship employability program for those who are 18 to 25 with an education, health and care plan and a diagnosis of autism based in London. We then also support anybody who is 18 plus looking for work. So we have a job finding and job support program called Job Seekers Plus. We have an alumni job club. So anybody who's been on any of our programs can come along and look for work and get support, possibly to update their CVs or to help with application forms, with interview practice, interview skills and support at interviews. And then we also have our Access to Work program where we support anybody who has a neurodivergent condition in London and kind of home counties. We can support them in the workplace and it's fully funded through Access to Work. And then we also have our training and consultancy where we will go into workplaces and support around being more neuro inclusive and making adjustments and supporting neurodivergent staff.
I find it really interesting the adjustments bit, but just say a little bit more on that. What kind of quick wins companies may be able to get to help neurodiverse folk and everyone really in the workplace.
Yeah, sure. So reasonable adjustments are a legal term under the Equality Act to enable someone to carry out their day-to-day lives with the right support, so they're not disadvantaged compared to anybody else in the workforce or anybody else in any kind of situation. And some of the adjustments, we kind of call them workplace adjustments rather than reasonable adjustments because the word reasonable is really confusing for a lot of people. I mean, different things for different people.
Yeah.
So a workplace adjustment can be something really small, but have a huge impact that can enable someone to do their job. So, for example, one of the most common adjustments are things like headphones, noise cancelling headphones or loop earbuds, just to be able to cancel out some of the noise that goes on around an office that can really distract people or can cause kind of quite a lot of stress and anxiety, especially if you're trying to focus on something. Hybrid working has been another amazing adjustment that a lot of companies didn't really fully appreciate until COVID hit and everyone worked from home. And then it was kind of seen that a lot of people would benefit from having that ability to work from home if they can, because they can focus, they're in a safe space. They have kind of familiar things around them and they can kind of be comfortable in their own space as well. Other adjustments can be around computer programs. It can be having job coaches come into the workplace. It can be about kind of physical adaptations. So quite a few people we work with who may have ADHD, having things like standing desks can be make a real difference to somebody because they can kind of walk around, they're not sitting still, they can kind of, they're more flexible in how they can kind of balance the work that they do, and kind of reduces stress levels as well.
I think schools are becoming a lot better at this in terms of reasonable adjustments, as we may call it, but having what do they call fiddle toys, they call, what's the word for them? Can't think of the phrase
Yeah,
now.
yeah. You have the fidget spinners and the yeah,
Yeah, that kind
yeah,
of stuff on desks, like standing desks,
yeah,
wobble boards.
yeah.
They have a good awareness, but it seems that once somebody leaves school and graduates and you go into work and there's very little knowledge of, how to create a neurodiverse workspace where these people can thrive. There's a big difference between what school offer and what your average company offers.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we do quite a lot of work on is that, you don't just finish school and then suddenly, you're not autistic or you don't have ADHD
Yeah,
anymore,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
know? And there's also the reality is that a lot of people will go through school and education before they realize that they may identify with a neurodivergent condition. So, they're also getting used to the fact that they need adjustments. They didn't ever have them and where do they go and what do they do? So that's why workplaces need to kind of look at how neuro-inclusive they are for people who do identify, but also for a lot of people who don't or don't know that they have a neurodivergent condition. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we have this partnership with Employment Autism. So Employment Autism was a separate charity until about 2 years ago and has now come under the umbrella of CareTrade. And they have a brilliant website with lots of information for neurodivergent adults as well as employers with tips, with pathways, with lived experience blogs to enable people to really kind of see what is available and what's on offer and where to get it from.
Yeah, yeah. And we were saying off screen, there's been a kind of explosion in the amount of kids being diagnosed with autism, I think probably since COVID, if you look at the stats. But then obviously adults, parents of these kids have sought diagnoses because it's genetic. So I think there's a lot more awareness, a lot of people identifying with it now, and therefore I think it's more important than ever for hoteliers, hospitality companies to be aware that there is a need in the workspace to make adjustments, to make, well, if only for productivity purposes, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the wealth of jobs and roles that come with the hospitality and facilities management areas, you have some people, some neurodivergent people with amazing kind of skills and qualifications and experience that would really benefit employers. But sometimes the barriers to kind of employing those people are around the recruitment and the onboarding. They're huge barriers. When you go for an interview, you're meant to really be selling yourself and really kind of jazz hands about who you are. And if that's something that you find difficult or struggle with, then it's really hard to really get across to an employer that you are totally employable and will do an amazing job. Um, so we're big advocates for things like work experience and for job trials and for having more inclusive interview and recruitment procedures. So being
Yeah.
more transparent about the questions you're going to ask, being more transparent about the roles, being honest about the roles. So not having job descriptions that don't represent what the role actually is. Being aware that managers need support and managers can understand how to put adjustments into place. And I think the knock-on effect in both these areas are you are working with the public, you're working with customers, you're working with external organizations. And the knock-on effect to actually having more neuro-inclusive practices goes beyond, the four walls of your organization. And actually adjustments that you may make for an individual may benefit the rest of the team, may also increase productivity and efficiency and communication. So that's always going to be a positive for an employer, especially in, the areas where you are very people facing.
All around happier workspace,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean, that's the one thing. You walk into a hotel, you want to be, treated in a certain way. And if all your team are happy and there's a lot of joined up thinking about how people communicate, and the services that you provide, you're going to have happier customers who are going to come back, as well as the fact that you may have neurodivergent customers.
Yeah.
Um, and for them to feel safe in a space is really important.
Yeah.
And they'll be return customers because they know they get the support that they want.
And part of the objective for the conference is to demystify autism to employers. Give us some information on the conference, the what's happening, who's speaking, and what could people gain from attending?
Huge amounts. I think the fact is that we wanted to do this that was specific to sectors where we have young people interested in moving into those areas. So there is a huge amount of people that we work with who are really interested in both hospitality and facilities management because there are so many roles that will suit the skills and strengths of our job seekers. Um, and also there are opportunities to kind of move and develop skills. So I think what we want to do from an employer perspective is showcase the strengths that are out there by just tweaking the way that you recruit and that you think about recruiting and you think about your roles. You can potentially have staff that will be loyal and stay with you for a long time and be
Yeah.
able to then upskill other staff as well. So we have some, really great case studies and stories about young people who have moved into those roles who are now, the flip side is they're now training other neurodivergent staff to kind of do the work that they do. We've got some really inspirational talks and chats with industry leaders, with neurodiversity experts, and individuals with lived experience. We're going to have a panel discussion and we're going to be exploring real world challenges and solutions. And there'll be an opportunity for people to ask those questions about how do we do this? What happens if? In a kind of a really safe space and a space where we want people to feel engaged and feel like they're coming away learning and empowering themselves to go off back to their workplaces to kind of make that difference. Um, Hands-on learning about how to implement inclusive strategies. We're going to have a reverse job fair, which is super exciting. So we're going to have some of our job seekers currently at CareTrade showcase their skills, their strengths, their experiences, their CVs, so that you can kind of see the strengths that are out there and potentially if you have any spaces to recruit for that you may just consider one of our job seekers as well. And we can support through the processes as well. And then we're also doing a drop-in clinic where you can have personalized advice tailored to your business needs and looking at next steps beyond the conference. So that's, really, really important, skills to have and to take back and to discuss back with your teams to see, where you can improve and what you're already doing really well. I think people
Mm.
forget that actually there's probably a lot of really good stuff going on, but it may be one team are doing it and the other team don't know about it. So making sure that as an organization, you're using all that really good practice that's already there and growing it and enhancing it and then adding to it if you need to.
And a big shout out to Sunborn Yacht as well, because I know Francisco has been totally on board with
Amazing.
this, no pun intended on board. But he's put a lot into it with you guys, and answered the call out for a venue to host this fantastic event. So
Yeah,
a big shout out to them. Fantastic venue as well. Fantastic
amazing.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they have been fabulous. And actually, Francisco will be talking and he'll be talking about the fact that, they are very, when they think about neurodiversity, they're very on board, again, excuse the pun, with that. And, their employment processes, are very neuro inclusive. And it's I think what people will also hopefully get from the conference is it's a very positive workspace.
yeah,
Um, and that's kind of what we want to encourage with a lot of it was just just people just doing the right thing for other people. A lot
mm,
of it comes down to that really. If you want to be a good employer, you want to be treating your staff, giving your staff the opportunities, giving your staff the knowledge and the skills to do their job in the best possible way, and that's all this is really.
yeah. £80, reasonable cost, including lunch, including tea and coffee. Um, Starts at 9, is it 9:30?
9:30 till 5. So the
Yeah,
morning is jam-packed with the the talks and solutions and panel discussions. And then the
Yeah.
afternoon after lunch will be around the reverse job fair and the one-to-one clinics and being able to just network as well through lunch in the most amazing setting. It looks out onto the Royal Victoria Docks. You've got Docklands in the background, you've got the Excel Centre, so it's super well linked as well for transport. And you get to see the Sunborn, which is a fabulous space and a great hotel. And really kind of see what it's like when it works.
Brilliant. And how can people book? In fact, I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the comments for people to book.
That'll
But
be
I
amazing.
presume
Yeah.
they can reach out to you, ask you any questions, or
Yep.
me, and we can kind
Yeah.
of direct them between us. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
So it's on Eventbrite. There's a QR code that we can share. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. There's going to be, it's fully accessible space and there will be a quiet space so that if people need to kind of go and take some time out, we'll have that as well. We also have our own working kitchen at CareTrade and our participants are going to be making some goodies as well to share at the conference. So you get those
Good.
treats as well. So you get to showcase the work that our young people do as well. So yeah, it's just I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it, and I just hope people come along and really kind of experience what we want to get across and showcase the talent that's out there.
And a good networking opportunity as well. Nice spot in London, other hoteliers and hospitality
Oh,
companies coming along. So should be a good day.
I
Brilliant.
hope
Thank
so.
you. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it will be. Hopefully the sun will be shining at the Sunborn. So yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know you were saying earlier that you're super busy at the minute. So thanks for squeezing in half an hour just to chat about the conference. And I'll be there myself. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in less than a month now.
Less than a month. I know. Time is ticking. Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Jason. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing people at the conference.
Fantastic. That's all we've got time for this week. Like and share the show because it helps us attract cool guests like Judith from CareTrade, and hopefully we'll see you at the conference in July. Here we go. Thank you. Bye bye.